Hi, I'm Elly. Today I'm going to read you a story called Wait a minute. Okay, and I'm going to read you a story called Fair is Fair. Okay, are you ready to listen? Okay, I'm going to read you the story. But Dad, Marco whined. No, Marco, Mr. Solano said firmly. Your allowance is fair. Marco sighed. The other kids in the class had bigger allowances. Marco got $3 a week. Everyone else got at least $5. It wasn't fair, no matter what his dad said. Mr. Solano was off to the job at Pet Party Pet Food Company. I'll be back by 7, he said. He rumpled Marco's hair on his way out. I'm sorry, hon, Marco's mom said. Your dad is just busy at work. He's trying to get a big account. She got their keys. Business is the only thing that gets his attention right now. Marco's mom was joking, but her joke gave Marco an idea. When Mr. Solano came home, Marco was walking back and forth into the TV. He was carrying a sign that said, Keep your kid happy, raise his allowance. The only thing Mr. Solano raised was his eyebrows. The next day, Marco left little sticky notes all over the house. They said, Don't forget, raise Marco's allowance. His dad didn't take the hints. Early Saturday morning, Marco wrote a note on his dad's calendar. 10 a.m. Meet with Marco about SS. Mr. Solano laughed and took Marco to the zoo instead. The zoo was fun, but it wasn't that Marco really wanted. He kept thinking about his allowance. How could he get his dad to take him seriously? In school on Monday, Marco learned about bar graphs. Bar graphs are a great way to make a point, his teacher said. That's it, Marco said to himself. At lunch, Marco asked some kids in his class about his allowances. He took notes. When he got home, he spread out a big piece of grid paper on the bedroom floor. First, Marco wrote the numbers 0 to 10 on the left side of the grid. One square stood for each dollar a kid got. Next, he wrote the kid's name at the bottom of each column. Then he started coloring. Then Marco was finished. Sam, Maria, and Nathan had tall towers of the squares above their names. Anne had skyscraper. Marco's Coleman was barely a house. Marco's bar graph got Mr. Solano's attention. He looked at it carefully. This is interesting, he said, but I still think $3 is fair. Mr. Solano didn't sound quiet as sure as he had before. Marco knew he was onto something with the bar graphs. The next day, Marco did another survey on the classmates. He asked them how many chores they had. Sam and Nathan had two chores to do, and at 3, Maria didn't have any chores at all. And Marco had 5 chores. He had to sweep the floor, feed the dog, and set the table, take out the trash, and make his bed. This time, Marco had the tower. Everyone else had houses. Mr. Solano spent a time 10 minutes looking at Marco's new bar graph. He scratched his chin. He mumbled to himself. He walked away without saying anything. Mr. Solano went to his office. He didn't come out again all night. Marco couldn't tell if that was good or bad. He decided to act like it was good. But it wasn't good. It wasn't good. It was great. Next day, Marco's dad came home early. He swept Marco right up the floor. He gave him a big bear huge hug and said, Thank you, Marco. I had a big meeting today, Marco's dad explained. I want to win this new account, and your bar graphs gave me an idea. Last night, I made my own bar graphs, and Garden Grocery picked Pet Party Pet Food over 4 other companies. Marco's dad took out the bar graphs he had made. One showed a pet food taste test between Pet Party and 4 other brains. The dogs liked Mr. Solano's pet food best. Another showed which pet loved veterinarians preferred, but Pet Party was their favorite too. Marco gave his dad a big hug. He was glad his dad was happy. Get your mom, Marco's dad said. We're going out to dinner to celebrate. Marco, his dad, and his mom all piled into the family car. They went to Marco's favorite restaurant, China Garden. Mr. Solano called for a toast. Here's to Marco. His bar graphs were clear and powerful. They convinced me. I thought $3 was fair, but I was wrong. So Marco, I'm raising your allowance. Marco was surprised, but only for a second. His bar graphs had proved his point. He was finally getting a bigger allowance. They all raised their teacups. Cheers to Marco, Mom and Dad said. Cheers to me, Marco said. That night, Marco tapped up his 2 bar graphs. He laid back in bed and looked at them. He smiled. Just a week ago, as it seemed as if his dad would never change his mind, and he understood what Marco had been trying to show him all along. Fair is fair. Okay, and today I read you a story called. Wait a minute. Today I read you a story called Fair is Fair. Okay, thank you for seeing this video. Bye.